it just goes to show you how great of a person he was. And it's sad because I think he was only maybe 21, 22 at the time. And it's like I feel for these people because they don't know what's going on in this world. They're just trying to live. And you look at a story like this and you go, it's like, how is this even possible? Because, life is so valuable. It's like, it's so short, but we do things and we kill people. We hurt people with our words. And I don't know. I feel people really should be more conscious of what they're doing.
Every step feels like a mountain climb. No handouts, just a grind of time. Street lights flicker, the night runs cold, but the city's hard.
You always got to get in the mood to do these videos. It seems it's very hard because you're talking to yourself, one, and then you have to come up with this conversation in your head. And I already talk to myself at work all day anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you still have to be able to stay focused. And this is why, like other YouTubers, I feel I'm not connected with them. But there's certain people like Jordan Peterson, Bedros Keuilian. They're like more realistic. They're more real. They're telling a story. And they're actually talking to like you. So I didn't want to be that type of person where it's like, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's probably the most stupidest thing. It doesn't solve anything. It actually annoys me to no end. I don't even know where I was going with this. But I was just saying, because I'm trying to start the video now, and I keep starting over because it's kind of hard to find a starting point. I guess when I do it more, I'll get better at it. But right now, it's just like, it is kind of rough. So I know in the first video, I said I was going to start doing like two videos a week. That's super hard. I am going to start trying though next week. I was going to do like a video where I kind of talk about life and help people, which is like the main focus point, which some people have been hitting me up and telling me like the things that they've been going through, and I understand. And they say they felt bad for me for what I went through. I'm like, that is cool. I do greatly appreciate that they're reaching out, but I want people to know that I'm okay. Like I'm not depressed. I'm not going through anything major, but I'm doing this more along the lines to help people realize that they can also come out of whatever they're in. And if it's me that you look towards to talk to, or it's another person on another platform that you connect with, then it's fine. It's like, do that, but come out of whatever you're coming out of. That was like the original idea that I had for this, is like to get closer to people, to help them understand that life is much more greater than what we're seeing visually on these phones and TV. Like what the outside world, like these evil people that are in higher places, like make us look at and say that that's what we want is horrible. It's definitely horrible. And that's what keeps us depressed and closed up and not loving people and not getting close to anyone. And I just wanted to change that. And I know, like I said before, I'm not going to save the world, but I am going to help people come to a certain point in their life where they're not beat up anymore, or they can help someone else. So it's like, I was going to do the main video, which would be like teaching someone through their struggle. And then like an in-between video that I would like to do that's like it's a separate segment where I would talk about a story, because I have a lot of stories in my life, just like I know you do too. But I have a lot of stories that could kind of help you understand who I am, because it does, when you have a channel like this and you're trying to get people to understand who you are, that you have to build trust. And it's like, the more I open myself to you, the more stories I tell to you, the more comfortable you feel with me. If I give you information, you're like, okay, he's not bullshitting me. And I feel like that's the better way to do it, because if you're going to have a conversation with someone, you can't just blurt anything out that you want. You got to understand that they have feelings too. These people that are doing or living their life the way they want to live it, they have free will, but you can't be mean and evil. So many people in the world, that's what they gravitate towards. They gravitate towards, you don't listen to me. This is my way, and it's my way or the highway. Listen, I have my way of thinking, and do I feel it is correct and true? I do. But I still treat everyone to the best of my ability that I can in a loving way. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I'm sure people push me. Yeah, you're going to get the wrong part of me. But it's like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that way. I want to love all my friends, see everybody succeed, see everybody happy. And when they go through things, I want to be there for them. So, and that's the other thing. Sometimes I get emotional. So it's, you're going to have to deal with that, because I don't know. I think I've had so many things happen to me in life, just as you have, and you don't talk about it. But when you start talking about it, you start releasing those feelings, and that's why like certain people don't cry or whatever. And before I get to the story, because I know I ramble on, my friends who know me closest, they know like I'm over here with a conversation, and I'm over here with a conversation. I mean well, trust me. But crying is like probably the best thing. If any man or any woman that's been hurt, right? And then they're so hurt that they're angry and mean, and they tell you, if you're crying, especially a kid, don't ever tell a kid they can't cry. Don't ever tell them that's weakness. That's a horrible, horrible thing to tell anybody they can't cry. Now, you don't go around complaining all day. I'm not saying to complain and cry like a baby all day, like you're not getting your way. I'm talking about people that have been through things and they cry, and you say, don't cry, let them cry. That is the natural thing for a human being to do, to relieve the stress and the pain and the hurt. So don't ever tell people not to cry, and especially if you're a man and you're one of these tough guys. And, you know, don't take offense to this, but for real, like a real man will tell them, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can cry. Get over what you're doing with crying, because you go through things in life and everybody bottles them up. That's what also makes you really angry. So it's like, don't do that. But just don't tell people. This goes back to what I'm saying with the last episode, you know, watch what you say. That all goes hand in hand. Watching what you say to people. They might just need you to be there, not to tell them that you're weak and you shouldn't cry because it's a sign of weakness. Crying is not a sign of weakness. It's not. We all need it. Matter of fact, if you had a real good cry today, you'd probably feel a lot better about your life. But anyway, I'm going to try my best to do 2 videos, and that's why I said it's like the main one where I'm kind of focusing on a real conversation with people that's helping them understand where they're going wrong and how they can kind of course correct and get out of that situation. And then I want to have like a cool video where I actually tell a story. Could be great and funny, could be really sad, it could be traumatizing, because I've seen a lot of stuff that was traumatizing growing up, especially in my neighborhood in Philadelphia, in Kensington. There was always something going on, even in the summertime. It was insane. That reminds me of a good story. I'll have to write it down later. But so, as you know already, I grew up. Let me take a drink of water. If you are listening to the podcast and you just hear a brief moment of silence, that's me drinking. Until I get some kind of guests on this podcast to fill space. So when I was younger, I grew up in Kensington in Philadelphia, and I'm sure a lot of people know about this place because some people make fun of it, and I know we all make jokes, but it's a very heartbreaking place to see. If you see the videos of the people that just gave up living, and this is what I'm talking about, like if people knew the right information, why they're here on this planet, and it's not to be famous, it's not to make millions of dollars, it's to be a great human being. Everybody can be a great human being for free. And I know we've said it. It costs nothing to be a great human being. And what happens is people choose to be evil human beings, and then the cycle continues. And then you have more humans that are just not good people anymore, and it keeps snowballing and snowballing. But anyway, Kensington is a place that I feel it's where people have gone to give up, and they just do drugs to forget about life. And from what I heard, it's not even people necessarily from the neighborhood. It's actually people from other places that just have had a bad situation happen in their life, and they've gone to Kensington to, I guess, get the drugs, and then they wound up staying there. But it wasn't always like that. It was actually a pretty okay place when I was growing up. I mean, it was still rough. It was still tough. A lot of fighting, a lot of gangs, and nonsense, fighting over nonsense. From what I heard, though, it's like there was a hold on. I gotta check some. Is that right? Yeah. So there was like a lot of factories back in Kensington, and yeah, I'm talking to myself. Sorry. There was a lot of factories in Kensington, and they shut down a lot of them, and the people that lived there got stuck living there. So that's what I heard from that, and that's where the neighborhood started to decline. People were just not, making enough money. So then drugs crept in, and it's just like, it was bad. But it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't that bad. I remember on my street, I grew up on D in Cambria in Kensington, and I remember my mom and her friends sitting outside on beach chairs in summertime, and it was great. It was just like everybody was talking until like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. It was still safe. And I just remember those good memories of growing up in Kensington. Now you go back there now, it's just a bunch of industrial apartments now, and this younger generation moving in thinking it's like cool. And I don't know what people are thinking anymore, because if you look outside, there's a serious problem, and no one knows how to fix it. It's very complicated. But I do feel bad about that area. But I did have a good time growing up in Kensington, and this is kind of like what I'm leading into with the story. The story of when I was younger, and that neighborhood was very, I don't know, it had so many memories, and some of the best memories, especially all the things that were coming up in the 80s. Like, you had the BMX, the BMX world, the breakdancing, the hip hop, the graffiti, rap. It was all new. So it's like if I was born in '74, then like early '80s, I was like this little kid breakdancing, and I remember being on the corner and then rapping and all this other stuff, riding my BMX bike. It was all a great time, because you were a part of something that was totally new, and you were a part of that. So when you look back now, that's why we all reminisce. It's like you look back now, you're like, man, it was such great times. So growing up in that neighborhood, I met a couple kids. One of the kids that stood out the most was Freddie. He was about 3 years older than me, I think. His name was Freddie. He was a really great kid. And me and him were into hip hop. And I want to say, like, as I got older, I went to, like I said before, Creative and Performing Arts High School in South Philly. And I always liked hip hop, and I always liked rap. So when I got to Creative and Performing Arts, there was no YouTube back then. There was no way to really see anybody else's artwork or anything, right? You only knew the kids in your neighborhood. And then if you went outside, maybe you'd run into somebody else that was kind of like you. Because I was always drawing art. So I was always doing graffiti or comic books. When I was younger, it was definitely all that. Art, graffiti, comic book art, anything that was cool, you would draw. And when I got to high school, it was like this flood of talent that I just started seeing everybody. I remember the exact same, like that. It was like you would go to a school and you would have to bring your sketchbook or whatever it is, because that's how you got into the high school. You'd have to bring a book of so many sketches, and I remember working on that book hard because I wanted to get into this school and experience it. And when I did this sketchbook, I got there, and I thought I was okay. Your mother pumps you up. You're like, oh, you're the best. You're the best. All right, whatever. But when I got to high school and whatever that initiation day, whatever that word is called, I'm trying to look for, but whatever that thing is, it's like everybody gets there. And of course, I'm visual arts. There was dance majors. There was all kinds of people there, drama, music. So everybody had to kind of put something together so that they can even be, able to get into the school, like if they were accepted at least. So I bring my sketchbook, and I remember seeing this kid, Daniel. I saw his sketchbook, and I saw two other people, George, Daniel Ford, and they were so amazing. They like the sketchbooks were so good. I threw mine away. I mean, I gave it to the teacher at the time, and I did eventually get accepted to creative performing arts, obviously. But when I saw their stuff and how good they were, I threw my sketchbook away and started over. I said, I can't even compete with that. So, but the great thing is that I got to saw other people and other people's talent and their levels of talent. And I was just like, I wasn't mad and I wasn't jealous. It just made me want to do better for myself. So, and I did. I started getting better at it. I started hanging with Daniel. I started hanging with George, Damon, all my friends, even Joe, like me and Joe Logue, like the guy I talked about in the last episode, like Joe Logue. Me and Joe Logue would graffiti all the time. Like I did my first big piece with Joe on the L, Kensington L. And, we were going to start a clothing company together. Like there was so many things I learned from the other students that made it great. But anyway, so like right before I go into high school, right before I go into ninth grade at Kappa, me and Freddie were like actually had some things going on with hip hop, right? This is where it's going to sound funny because there's not many people that know this about me. And it sounds corny, but it is funny. I feel it's funny, and I feel like the way life works and the way life guides you through and what steps you take is just, to me, I think it's kind of cool to hear someone else's story too. Like just not mine, but just like to hear someone else's story, like where you ended up at. And so like before I went in high school, I wanted to become a rapper. So yeah, I did art, but I didn't really think that was a thing where I can make money. And you look at the rappers and back in the day, and you saw them on stage, and you saw like the music they were making being played on radio. So I wanted to be a rapper, right? So me and Freddie had this kind of dream, and Freddie was like, we were two young kids. We didn't know what we were doing. He was my manager at the time. So you get to Kappa now, and I was writing pretty good songs. Like, I'm not going to lie. For the time period, it was good. And when I got there, I didn't expect or understand what the future was going to be like. And now I start meeting these kids in Kappa that were, visual artists, but also doing the same thing I was doing, like rapping. Like, so the way our school was set up, like during lunchtime, we had to go up to, I think it was on the 4th floor or whatever. And that school had their recess yard, and their lunchroom was on the 4th floor. Then you had to go up another level, and the recess yard was gated. It was like on the roof, so it was gated in like a big fenced-in roof, and it was really cool because I never experienced that. I think Mass Bomb, another phone call. We must have a caller coming in. Nah, I'm only kidding. I don't have that set up yet. So like you had. I think Mass Bomb was the only other school in Philadelphia, I think, that had their recess yard on the roof. But I just remember that. I remember like I was really young, ninth grade, and I'm coming up to lunchroom. I'm trying to make friends, and I don't know who's who. And I see all these kids in this one room before you go out into the recess yard. This one room, and all I hear is like the bass, and I hear like a beat, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on? So I'm coming up the stairs and I see this circle of kids and they're rapping, and someone is beating on the wall because the wall the wall was like just the perfect sound of bass and like slap. It was like a great moment in my life because I was like now a part of something. Because you're stuck in your house when you're younger, and you do see some people in your neighborhood, but it's not the same when you get to this point in time where it's like you're like so many people in one spot that have like cool things going on. And it's like I just wanted to be a part of it so bad. So I just stayed behind and I checked it out and I looked at it and it was cool. And I do remember like eventually making friends with a couple of them. And I was nervous, of course, but then I would write my raps and I would just be like in that circle and they were like, yeah, go ahead, do it. And I finally did it and I finally got the guts to do it and I did it and it was great. I mean, it took a couple months before I felt comfortable, but it was such a great experience because it's like people don't realize who you're even around at that time too. Like I didn't know, like it was Boys to Men went to our school, the people from the Roots, like Questlove. Many a times he was on the roof, making a beat. He's a drummer. He was making a beat. I had no clue who he was going to be. I had no clue who the Roots were going to be in 93, 94. And I was like, wow, it was cool. I went to school with them. It was a really cool experience to know that I was around someone that actually did something big. But I just remember me and Freddie, we were still trying to do something. I actually went and made a demo tape, and like it was crazy. Like we were going to do something with it. We had, so like at ninth grade, a funny story too was I got into a fight with my mom before. I wish these people would stop calling me. I had gotten into a fight with my mom like right before high school, like right before I started high school. I got into a fight with her and I told her I'm moving out. And she was like, good, see you later. So I said, I'm going to go get a job and I'm moving out. And I walked around the corner to the pizza place on Kensington Avenue, and everybody's calling me today. For what reason? So now I walk around the corner, go to the pizza place, and I asked for a job. And I asked the guy, Pete, he was the owner. I said, I want to work, whatever you got. I said, I'm moving out of my house. And they laughed at me because I'm like, whatever age I was in, going in ninth grade. And I went home, I put my number in the book, went home, got a call like 2 days later, I got the job. So it's cool. So I started there. So basically what I'm saying that is, one, it was a funny story, but it showed like I had money now all through high school because I worked at this pizza place all through high school, and I bought like turntables and beat machines and stuff. Like I really thought I was going to be a rapper. And Freddie was helping me. Freddie wanted me to do a show. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. So like I went through high school. It was a fun time. And, I was rapping and doing the artwork and having fun. The only thing I didn't like about rapping was the girls called me Vanilla Ice. And I didn't like that because I was real. Like I was real. I wasn't, Vanilla Ice was, I'm sorry, but no. But anyway, so I went through high school, and at the end, I started seeing like the pizza place at the pizza place, the way the bosses handled things. I knew something like deep down inside me. I said I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be my own boss. And I started seeing like rap as like not an easy way to get to that point. And I saw the artwork. Maybe the artwork could be the way I was going to go. So that's why I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. So I had to break it to my friend Freddie. But my friend Freddie, we were like really close. And it was hard for me to tell him that, because he wasn't. This is why I tell people, like, be careful what you say to people because you never know what they're going through. And I think a lot of my friendships, even younger, growing up, that shaped me who I was because I saw a lot of people suffering in my neighborhood, and Freddie was one of them because me and him were so close. But I remember going to his house. He never really talked about anything. He never really talked about his parents, but I'm pretty sure like either his parents left him or his parents both passed away. I don't remember the full story because it's so long ago, but I do remember him not having anybody. And, he didn't work. Like he dealt drugs on the side or whatever it was. So that's how he survived. And he was never nasty or mean to me. He was always great to me, great friend. And I never judged him for doing that. We all make some kind of choice in our life that we don't necessarily like later on. But he was such a great guy. And I remember one time where kind of like, I felt so bad, where he took me to his house. It was his house, but I was confused because, neighborhood was poor, but I was confused because there was it was mostly boarded up. And he goes, no, this is my house. He's like, but a lot of things happened and, it's the way it is. But it was like an empty shell and there was nobody there for him. And he slept like on this like bed on the floor. It was a really sad experience for me to be like, man, I wish I could help him more. But it's like that kid was such a great kid. And it's just, it brings me back to, just caring for people, because you never know what they're going through. And it's just hard on like people like not knowing how to, express themselves or talk. And he never did. He never talked about any problems. He just was always laughing, always funny, and we always had a great time. But like when it got to the end, I had to break it to him. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the rap thing. And he was like kind of upset, but he understood. And we still were friends, and we still stayed in touch. Actually, I actually got him a job because I didn't want him being on the corner selling, because it was at that time when it was getting in like early 90s, then it was starting to get bad in my neighborhood. A lot of shootings, a lot of drive-bys, a lot of stuff that was like really violent. And my mom was happy that I had the pizza place job because it kept me out of a lot of trouble during the weekend, because that's when I worked. I worked on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday straight through. So me and Freddie kind of parted ways on the rap thing, and I started doing the art. And I remember he stopped working at the pizza place around the same time I did, I think. And then I moved to South Philly to pursue the business that I have now. I had no clue what I was doing either, because I was airbrushing shirts and all kinds of stuff, murals. I was not really good yet. Like it took a long process to figure things out, but I eventually got it. It took me years to finally get it. But I remember, I had a little apartment on 13th Street, 13th Tasker, and I was working like odd jobs here and there to make some money until my business actually did anything. So I remember calling Freddie up on a payphone. Ain't that crazy? Like, I remember going to the corner store. No one knows what a payphone is anymore. You know what a payphone is? These younger generations, they have no clue. You got to put a quarter in it. You got to put a quarter. They don't even know what a quarter is. Everything's Cash App and Venmo. But anyway, there was a payphone on the corner of the store. I remember having this conversation. I said, because someone said he was like, not in trouble, but he wasn't doing so good. So they called me and they said, what can we do? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, so I called him up and I asked him, I said, yo, why don't you come down and live with me? I'll get you a job down here in South Philly. It's a much better neighborhood, and just start over doing something else, man. Like, really. So he agreed, and he stayed with me for a little bit, and he was doing good. He had a job with me, and he was doing okay for a while. And then I guess because it's harder, when you're used to an amount of money that comes quicker, and then you have to go and work paycheck to paycheck, and maybe you get paid every 2 weeks. It's like whatever it was. It does become more stressful. So I understood what he was saying. He's like, look, I'm not going to be able to do this, and I'm just going to move back to the old neighborhood. I said, man, I really wish you wouldn't. But he did. So I was okay. I was like, all right, just be careful. And then it was like a week, about a week later, I remember my friend John from the pizza shop, John, and he don't normally stop down at my house, at my apartment. And plus we didn't have cell phones then. It's like, it's not like you can get in touch with people right away. the way it is now. So he came down, and I heard my doorbell ring, and I went to the door, and I was shocked. I was like, yo, what's up? And it was Johnny. And I think it was brother Carmen was with him. And he said that Freddie was shot and killed. I was like, it was just a week. He was only back to the old neighborhood a week. And from the story, I found out that the people that he was living with, I want to say they were also dealing drugs. And I don't know what happened, but he was with his friend at his house, but he was with his friend's wife. The friend that lived there, with his wife, and I think she was pregnant too at the time, he left. So Freddie was hanging out with his wife, and from what I heard, some guys came to get him, his friend, not Freddie, his friend. And there was like an argument and a fight, and then the guy pulled a gun, and Freddie jumped in front of his wife to save her, and they shot him and killed him. So it just goes to show you how great of a person he was. And it's sad because I think he was only maybe 21, 22 at the time. And it's like I feel for these people because they don't know what's going on in this world. They're just trying to live. And you look at a story like this and you go, it's like, how is this even possible? Because, life is so valuable. It's like it's so short, but we do things and we kill people. We hurt people with our words. And I don't know. I feel people really should be more conscious of what they're doing and just be good to people. That's your job. That's your occupation here on this planet, is to be good to people. It's not to go around judging everybody you see because you think you're better. That's a problem, like, really. I mean, so many people think they're better than everybody else because they belong to a club or they're exclusive or they belong to a motorcycle gang. Like, you ain't nothing. I'm not being mean by saying that, but really, we're all the same. We are all the same. I had to give some kind of honor to my friend Freddie because it feels like I had to tell his story because no one remembered how honorable that was to jump in front of someone else's, life and just save their life and take their own. I mean, I don't try to make it sound religious, but this is not religious. But even when you look at the Bible, when you look at how the story of how Jesus died and how it's said that Jesus died for the whole world so that the whole world could live. He took on human form to show us that he went through the same things we went through, the backstabbing, the lying, the hate. We all go through the same thing. That's not a religious thing. Jesus was being human. He wasn't being religious. He was being human. He wasn't starting a religious group. He was being human. You got to remember one thing. When God started all this planet, right? When he made all of humanity and all of creation, he made humanity. God didn't make Christianity. He made humanity. And we're not being human. We're being religious. And sometimes when you get caught up in your group of religion, whatever it is, you think that you're better than everyone else. And that's not how it is. Oh, would you stop with the calling? Anyway, feels like a radio show. It's like we got another caller. It's like I don't want to be called right now. I know. You're probably saying, Freddie, why did you keep your phone here? Because there's a couple people I have to call back. But anyway, just all I'm saying is it's nice to honor someone that has been forgotten. And I feel that There's a lot of people in this world that have been forgotten, and they've done so much. I mean, I know God hasn't forgotten them because he sees everything, but it's like me, I saw Freddie's life. And he was such a great person that no one knew about. So I felt I had to tell that story because, you know, who else is going to tell the story? And yeah, that's it. So back to what I was saying earlier about doing 2 videos a week. I'm definitely crazy. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do a story that has a lot of heavy meaning. Could be a lot of laughter. Could be anything. It could just make your day. And that's basically what I'm going to be here for, is to give people hope, to make you have a better day, and to just make you happy or bring emotions out in you that you need to have out, because you need to be more understanding and more loving and more caring. That's just what the world is about. That's what the world is really about. It's about caring for people and having great times and laughing and just seeing people succeed. Not all the videos you're seeing now, people fighting in the street over a parking spot because it snowed, getting stabbed, getting killed. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? I'm hoping someone sees this that has these kind of ideas in their head, like they're going to go out and go, I'm just going to start a fight, or I'm going to kill somebody. I'm like, stop. What are you doing with your life? Like, just, it's like, wouldn't you just rather be happy in the presence of loved ones? That's it. That's all you have to, that's what life's about. It's not about being rich and famous. It's not. So I just hope people take this into consideration when I say these things. Like, really listen to what I'm saying. Just don't take one small slice of what I say in this video or any other video and then just say, oh, yeah, it's all about that. No, it's about everything I'm saying. But mostly, my main focus is to change people to be better every single day.